If you're getting ready to take the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, or the ASVAB, you may be wondering how it is scored as well as what the average score is. Well, there are actually a few different scores to this test and an average that might just shock you. Stick with me, I'll explain it all. Welcome to the U.S. Military Test Prep channel by Study.com. My name is Corey, I'm a Seaburn Specialist in the U.S. Army Reserves and an ASVAB test prep expert. In today's video, I'm going to cover everything that you may need to know in order to understand your ASVAB scores. Your ASVAB scores not only determine your eligibility to serve, but also what other roles and specialties you may have within the military. Let's start by breaking down the scoring system and interpreting the results. The ASVAB has 9 or 10 subtests depending on if you're taking the paper or the computer version. All of these scores culminate and help you understand how you do in different subjects like math, language, and even mechanics. We have another video on this channel that you can go find that compares the paper versus the computer version. You'll get a standard score for each of the subtests. So what is a standard score? Well, it's pretty much how you stack up against other people your age, primarily 18 to 23 years old, in the US. Now, 50 is the average score and the system works off of that 50. Let's say 50 is your baseline, there's then a 10-point difference, up or down, that will show whether you are above average or below average. So a 60, above average. A 40, below average. Pretty easy, right? Higher scores show off your strength in certain areas, which can be a game changer for getting specific military roles. You will also get a percentile rank. This percentile rank lets you know how you did compared to other test takers. So a 75% percentile rank means that you score better than 75% of the other standard test takers. Only about 16% of standard test takers get at or above a 60. So keep this in mind when you get your scores. Getting a 50 on a standard test might not be the best, but getting a 50 on the ASVAB is the standard. Here's where it gets a bit more customized. The military has something called composite scores, also known as line scores, that they use to determine what job would best suit you. They get these scores by combining these standard scores and putting them into related areas. Each branch has their own different way of combining these scores because of the fact that different jobs require different skills. Each military job has a different minimum line score requirement in one or more areas. For example, a technical job would look more into math and science understanding, while a mechanical job would look more at your understanding of mechanics and general tools. Your composite scores really do dictate what jobs you qualify for, so they're worth paying attention to. Higher composite scores may get you into a more competitive or even a more advantageous job where you will have a lot more options open to you. Your Armed Forces Qualifying Test, or your AFQT, is probably the most important score though. This score dictates whether you can even enlist at all. But just be aware, each branch has their own different minimum, so make sure that you can pass the bar for the branch that you are looking for. The AFQT score comes from a combination of your scores on 4 key subtests. These subtests include arithmetic reasoning, which is a lot of math word problems, and mathematics knowledge, which tests your understanding of key math concepts. The other 2 subtests are word knowledge, which tests your vocabulary and word understanding, and paragraph comprehension, which tests how well you can understand written materials. The word knowledge and paragraph comprehension scores are then put together to create the verbal expression score, which is then factored into your AFQT, as well as your arithmetic reasoning and your mathematics knowledge scores. Just like with the standard scores, if you get a 50 on your AFQT, that means that you scored on par with the average group of test takers. Always keep in mind, each military branch may have different standards. Let's take a closer look at the minimum AFQT score you need to enlist into the branch of your choice and how they compare to the average score. You'll need a high school diploma or a GED in order to even be qualified for the military. However, depending on which one you have, the minimum score requirement may change. If you've passed the GED exam, you need to aim for a 50 for all branches, or that means you need to score higher than the average. With a high school diploma, that's where scores can be a little bit varied. You'll need a minimum score of 31 for the Air Force, Army, and Marine Corps. The Coast Guard requires a 36, which is the highest AFQT score required. If you want to enlist in the Navy, you will need at least a 35. So the good news is that even if you score lower than the average of 50, you could still be eligible to enlist in the branch of your choice. But do some research and find out what scores your job requires. There's a very large range. If your AFQT score is higher than average, then that's amazing. That opens up so many new possibilities for you in terms of bonuses, in terms of experiences, and absolutely amazing things. So it doesn't hurt to aim high. Don't stress if your scores aren't where you want them to be yet. I'm here to give you some tips and tricks on how to improve your score and to better position yourself for the military jobs that you want. First, pinpoint both your strong and weak areas. Look at which subtests brought your score down and which ones you excelled in. Next, study smarter. Spend more time on the sections that you struggled with. Using good study resources can make a huge difference. Study.com's ASVAB test prep resources can help create a personalized plan and keep you on track. In fact, 92% of users pass the ASVAB after prepping with Study.com. Taking a practice test can zero in on what you know and what you don't know. Watch lessons to review material that you may not be confident in. If you feel like you know a topic well, do some practice problems and quiz yourself. If you notice that you're missing a lot of information, try going back and relearning that topic. A solid prep plan can always boost your score. And keep in mind, you can retake the ASVAB. You'll need to wait 30 days before your first 2 retakes, and after that, it is a 6-month period before you can take it again. If you need to retake the ASVAB, I would recommend using study.com's ASVAB test prep resources in order to hone in on the information that you may have forgotten. And remember, even if you don't get the score for the role that you want, there might be another military job that would suit you perfectly. The goal is to maximize your strengths. That's it for today. We covered everything from standard scores to composite scores and AFQT scores, what average scores are, how to prepare, plus what to do if you need to retake the ASVAB. If this video helped you out, give it a thumbs up and comment with any questions that you may have or any topics that you may want us to cover. And make sure to subscribe to get more US military test prep content. I'll see you in the next video. Stay frosty.